Hey guys, Keep on Rockin' 404 here with a music breakdown, this time reviewing 21st Century Breakdown by Green Day. This album is Green Day's 8th studio effort, as well as their second full rock opera. I use rock opera lightly there because it only loosely follows a story. From what I take out of it, it follows the characters Christian and Gloria as they try to make sense of America and begin to question their surroundings. I could be wrong about that because, as I said earlier, the stories followed very loosely. In that sense, this album is very different than Green Day's previous rock opera, American Idiot, because in that album, the story was very clear and very well followed, and it was very good. Here, not so much. That's all I'm really gonna say about the story. It's not very good and certainly hard to follow. Instead, I'm gonna focus on the music itself, and in that regard, 21st Century Breakdown fares rather well. Green Day's sound really changed quite a lot with this record, and that turned a lot of people off from it. Instead of their typical pop-punk sound, this album's a lot more classic rock inspired. It has a lot more pop rock and a lot more alternative rock tracks, but it does still have a few pop-punk songs on there. Also, Green Day tried to sound a lot more grandiose with this album, and it pays off most of the time. Songs like the title track, Before the Lobotomy, East Jesus Nowhere, See the Light, Murder City, those are all very epic tracks. The title track really acts as the first song, though it technically isn't, and it's fantastic. It's sort of split up into 3 different movements. The first movement is a mid-tempo rocker with an excellent chorus. The next movement is a lot faster and has an even catchier melody. And the third movement is a lot slower. It's a nice conclusion to the song. It's certainly one of the best songs on the album. Right after that is the lead singer Know Your Enemy, and it's okay. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just okay. It's got a decently catchy melody, but it's just so repetitive. Not that it really repeats more than any song normally would, but it's just that the chant is really not that interesting, but the chant is kind of like the main theme of the song. And the bridge hardly breaks up the song since the rest of it just repeats an almost identical vocal melody. But like I said, it's not bad by any means. The melody's still pretty good. However, 2 tracks later, we get Before the Lobotomy, which is an excellent song. This is one of the moments where the grandiosity really works. It opens with a beautiful acoustic guitar and vocal melody. Then it breaks into this guitar lead, which is in a bit of an odd time signature, but it's really headbanging. But the best part of the song is when the intro section repeats, but instead of with a light and pretty acoustic melody, we get a fucking kick-ass heavy instrumentation. It's great.
Dreaming, I was only dreaming of another place and time where my family's from.
So what does the next track do to top that? Nothing. Because it sucks. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I really can't stand Christian's Inferno. On the surface, it seems to have a great song dynamic. You know, the soft to loud, popularized by grunge. Except this isn't just soft to loud, it's also annoying to annoying. The verses are mixed to sound really lo-fi and intense, but it just doesn't work. And then the chorus just repeats this annoying whoa! It gets irritating really fast. It's not good. That's all fine though. The next track, Last Night on Earth, more than makes up for it. It's a beautiful psychedelic piano ballad. It's really pretty, and though the lyrics are a bit cliched, the music is excellent. It's a great song. The next 2 songs happen to be both of my favorites, East Jesus Nowhere and Peacemaker. The former being a hard-rocking thrasher. Lyrically, it's very critical of Christian hypocrisy, and it has an awesome riff, as well as an awesome chorus. The latter is a flamenco-inspired song, and God, it is pure bliss. It's very fast and driving, and also really catchy. Trey's drumming is really impressive on this track as well. I mean, of course he always plays fast, but he's playing really fucking fast on this song. Peacemaker is definitely my favorite song on the album. To close off Act 2, there's Restless Heart Syndrome, a ballad that's very similar to Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And while it's not quite as memorable as that, it's still really good. And like Boulevard of Broken Dreams, it closes with a very loud outro section. That's definitely where this one goes from good to great.
Know your enemy.
When that solo kicks in, it's intense. The first song of Act 3, Horseshoes and Hand-Grenades, is the closest this album comes to pure punk rock. This one can really get you pumped up, especially that "I'm not fucking around" lyric at the beginning of every line. It's really good. The riff is also really fast and headbanging. 21 Guns is the song off this album that's become immensely popular, becoming one of Green Day's most well-known songs, and my only question for that is, why? I find it to be okay at best. It's just a really boring ballad with little to no substance. It's not terrible, but I just don't see the appeal of this one. The next track, American Eulogy, is pretty good. It's not great, but it's good. It's split into two movements, Mass Hysteria and Modern World. Mass Hysteria is great, but Modern World has a bit of an annoying chorus. Not Christian's Inferno annoying, but close. I don't wanna live in the modern world. I don't wanna live in the modern world. The rest of it's good though. For the closer, we have See the Light. This one is fantastic. One of the best songs on the album, easily. Even though the story had been hard to follow up to this point, I still think this one track brings it all together rather nicely. I think that this album as a whole is very good. Most of its songs are exciting and sometimes even epic. But with 18 songs, there are bound to be some low points, and there certainly are. Song of the Century, Know Your Enemy, Christian's Inferno, Last of the American Girls, 21 Guns, all of those songs fall flat. They kept this album from being all that it had the potential to be. With that said though, I'd still recommend it, especially if you liked American Idiot, because this album really takes that sound and expands it, but it doesn't really make it better. American Idiot is still a much better album and a much more cohesive experience. With all that said though, 21st Century Breakdown is still a very good album. I give it a 7.75 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check this record out.
21st Century Breakdown. I once was lost but never was found.